This is IGN. Ever since exploding onto the scene in the 1980s, Tom Cruise has remained one of the most popular actors in Hollywood. His personal life was once constant tabloid fodder, but in theaters, Cruise always managed to keep us entertained. Whether he's shooting down Russian MiGs, running from or toward danger, or just being handsome and charming, Cruise rarely disappoints. We figured the time had come to take a look at Cruise's prolific career and pick out his best films. From early efforts like Rain Man to 90s classics like A Few Good Men to more recent favorites such as Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol and Edge of Tomorrow, these are the movies any self-respecting Tom Cruise fan needs to see. In the interest of keeping this Tom Cruise top 5 lean and mean, we've decided to only pick the best film from franchises, the one that best represents Cruise's strengths as an actor. Now, let's get started. We begin with number 5. It's Rain Man from 1988. Throughout the 80s, Cruise had developed a reputation for starring in comedies and action films, always playing similar shades of the same charming, attractive, capable leading man. But in 1989, Rain Man came along and finally established that Cruise had potential as a dramatic actor too. Cruise's character was actually a pretty big jerk in the early scenes of this movie. Here, Cruise played Charlie Babbitt, a flashy car dealer who mistreats just about everybody in his life. But after discovering the autistic brother he never knew, played by Dustin Hoffman in perhaps his most iconic performance, Charlie begins a journey of personal growth and maturation. Though Charlie initially tries to exploit his brother's superhuman memory and math skills for profit, he grows to care deeply for Raymond. From there, the movie explores the ethical dilemma of Raymond's situation. Is it better for Charlie to care for his brother and provide him with a real family, or return him to the mental institution where he's lived much of his adult life? Hoffman was perhaps the more visible actor in this project, but it was really Charlie's story in the end. Cruise brought just the right blend of charm, arrogance, and emotional range to the plate, and he nailed the role. Up next at number 4, A Few Good Men from 1992. Like a number of Tom Cruise movies, A Few Good Men has that one iconic scene that everybody knows, even if they've never actually watched the entire thing. In this case, it's the climactic courtroom showdown between Cruise and Jack Nicholson, where the latter insists, "You can't handle the truth!" In this movie, which writer Aaron Sorkin adapted from his stage play, Cruise plays a hotshot JAG attorney named Daniel Kaffee. Kaffee is paired with the overzealous investigator Joanne Galloway, played by Demi Moore, to defend 2 Marines accused of murdering a fellow corpsman, one who had apparently been prepared to blow the whistle on an international incident at Guantanamo Bay. Pulling the strings of the increasingly dark conspiracy behind the killing is the virulent Colonel Nathan Jessup, played by Nicholson. Elements of Cruise's usual leading man persona were still in full force with this role. Kaffee was very much the arrogant young hotshot who cared more for closing cases than seeking real justice. But the complicated courtroom drama and the odd couple dynamic between Kaffee and Galloway in this movie allowed his character to grow and Cruise to flex his dramatic muscle. In at number 3, Jerry Maguire from 1996. There certainly isn't a more quotable Tom Cruise movie than Jerry Maguire.
Show me the money!
In this slightly odd combination of romantic comedy and sports drama, Cruise plays the title character, a professional sports agent who suddenly develops a conscience about the often amoral practices of his industry. It's a move that's good for his self-esteem and bad for his career, but over the course of the movie, Maguire finds new hope thanks to a single mother he falls in love with, played by Renee Zellweger, and an NFL star, played by Cuba Gooding Jr., who may hold the key to putting his career back on track. Cruise didn't veer that far from the norm in this role, but Jerry Maguire was a movie that suited his on-screen charisma and handsome looks well. The movie was arguably the peak of Gooding Jr.'s career, netting him an Oscar win and paving the way for such choice fare as Snow Dogs and Daddy Daycare. Our countdown of the 5 best Tom Cruise films continues with number 2, Born on the 4th of July from 1989. Oliver Stone has made a number of questionable directing choices in recent years, but his career was at its height when he filmed his trilogy of films focused on the Vietnam War. Born on the 4th of July is the second entry in this series, following 1986's Platoon and preceding 1993's Heaven and Earth. In this project, Cruise was tapped to play Ron Kovic, a Vietnam veteran whose autobiography served as the basis for the script. The movie traces Kovic's painful transition from idealistic young American to embattled soldier to wheelchair-bound anti-war activist. More than any other movie in the 80s, this was the project that truly established Cruise's potential as an actor. Early on, Kovic is exactly the sort of handsome, charming character we expect from Cruise. But as Kovic becomes increasingly scarred by his experiences, both physically and psychologically, we see Cruise tap into his darker side and present a much more tortured protagonist. Even 25 years later, this stands as one of his finest performances. The only reason he didn't walk home with an Oscar that year was because he was up against the juggernaut that is Daniel Day-Lewis. And finally, our number one Tom Cruise film, Top Gun: Maverick from 2022. In a previous incarnation of this list, 1986's Top Gun was in the number one spot. Well, in keeping with our rule of only including one movie from a franchise on the list, the best entry from that franchise, the top spot goes to Maverick now. There might be a touch of recency bias here, sure, though the list has films from all eras. Top Gun: Maverick is a miraculous decades-later sequel that not only bests the original, but thanks to its incredible legs in theaters, wound up being Tom Cruise's top-grossing movie of all time, earning $1.5 billion worldwide. Everything has evolved here, from story to stunts to Cruise's acting chops. Maverick is emotional, entertaining, and stands as the perfect encapsulation of Cruise's career. Thanks for listening to IGN. My name is Tony Jackson, and if you want more news on your favorite games and entertainment topics, make sure to visit us at IGN.com. You can also download our free app on your phone or console, and subscribe to our weekly podcast through the podcast service of your choice.
Spoken Layer.